white room, but like it didn't feel like I had felt like I was asleep. It felt like I took like a quick nap, like I dozed off. And I like came to and was like, my eyes were still closed, and I kept saying like, girl, wake up, wake up, wake up. So like I started blinking, and like I opened my eyes, and I could see like we were all laying on our stomachs, all facing the same way, and it was a row of girls. It was like maybe 5 or 6 other girls. I was the last one. Everybody was up except me. I guess I needed extra beauty rest, but everybody was up. The girls were looking around. There was one lady in particular, she was a little bit older. She was screaming. Like, she was like, oh my God, the pain, the pain. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this was my second round. And with multiple rounds, you tend to have scar tissue. So with each round, it could get like a little harder with the pain because of the scar tissue. The scar tissue is painful. But it wasn't painful to the point where I felt like I needed to scream. But everyone's pain tolerance is different. They started getting her up out of there because she was screaming so much. So they was like, you know, your body's here, you gotta go. But I could see them like taking the catheters out of the girls and asking the girls if they were okay, getting them water. It was like 3 or 4 nurses. The room, it was part of a room, and it was covered with a curtain. And on the other side, I could hear like tools, like drills, like zoo. Like you could hear that going on, and like Spanish music. And the Spanish music was so loud, like they were jamming out while doing these surgeries. So I guess when they would finish doing the surgeries, they would just wheel you onto the other side so you can sleep, and the nurses over there monitor you. And so they finally got to me. All of the girls are shaking by now, but seeing that I just woke up, I'm just starting to come off my anesthesia, off the anesthesia, and so you will immediately start shaking like horribly, like it's bad. So I had already mentally prepared myself from like doing research. I'm like, okay, girl, you about to start shaking, like suck it up. Like suck it up. So I get to shaking like man, uncontrollably. So the lady, I don't know if she was trying to be funny, she's like, why are you shaking, mommy? I'm like, can I get pain meds? That's the first thing I said. She was like, we can't give you pain meds, you gotta wait till your recovery house come to pick you up, whatever. I'm like, all right, fine. While she's calling the recovery house, like I'm like feeling myself, like touching myself, because I'm burning. Like Dr. William did lipo to my upper back, under my boob area, my sides, my stomach, my private area, got a little lipo done. Under my armpits, like all of that was burning. Wherever they do that lipo at, you're gonna feel it when you wake up. And my hips and butt filled, like it felt so stuffed, like if anything was to touch it, it probably would explode. So I get to touching my hips, like, oh my God, like he gave me some hips, like yes. But then like while I'm feeling my hips, you guys know in the first video we were like, Dr. William and I agreed, no more butt, your butt is a nice size. But he did say, I gotta give you a little bit more to shape it out to your hips. Y'all, when I tell y'all I felt my butt, and oh my God, I was like, oh no. I looked over at the other girls, and I like looked back at my butt. My butt was like 3 times the size of all of theirs. I'm like, oh no, I didn't ask for this. So I'm like, I need to talk to Dr. William now. And they were like, no, mommy, he's in surgery. I said, I didn't want more butt. He gave me too much butt. I could tell they wanted to laugh at me. They were trying to hold it in, and like they were just looking at each other like, well, I don't know what to tell this girl. I said, I need to talk to him now. I need to talk to somebody. They were like, oh, your recovery house is on their way. But mind you, while they're doing that, I can hear the recovery house like they're 30 minutes away. How are you 30 minutes away and your house is 10 minutes? Like your house is literally down the street. So anyways, they like open up your legs, and then they took out my catheter. That did relieve a lot of pain and pressure. And so they tell you to get up, like once your ride says that they are downstairs. So you have to lift yourself up because we're all on our stomachs. So like I lift up onto your knees, and then you start to like scoot back some. Then they'll tell you like put a leg down, whatever. They bring the wheelchair. There's a BBL pillow there, and then you sit down. They have you covered up, whatever, with whatever you came in, your robe or your nightgown or something like that. they wheel you out, but like there's no other door for you to go out of. So they gotta wheel you through the front where the girls are coming in for pre-op and stuff. So people are looking at you like, because you're already out of it. So you're not paying them any attention, but they're definitely staring at you. So once my recovery house got there, they came in this van, and this probably would have been a good idea if the back of the van had the mattress strapped in some kind of way, but it didn't. They came with a van. They had no seats in the back. They had an air mattress, a cheap air mattress, and it wasn't strapped. So they was like, just lay on this. And while they were driving, the air mattress was like sliding like everywhere. So I'm like, I just grabbed the back legs of the front seats in the car to hold myself so I wouldn't keep sliding, because it was hurting every time I was hitting something. It was, don't ask me why they did that. So they had my bed. I had to pretty much walk myself to my my room. They had my bed covered with chuck pads, and they had a huge pillow in the middle. So you lay your stomach on the pillow to alleviate the pressure and like the burning sensation from the lipo, and you kind of like sleep with your butt like hiked in the air. And that was the most comfortable position. Like I slept in that position for weeks. And so I'm like, I need my pain medication. They were like, oh, we don't have it yet. We have to go get it filled. So in Miami, like, because so many girls are getting surgery and getting these medicines that they run low on them all the time. But one of my surgery sisters, she actually had gave me like 2 of hers, which we're so cool now, and I really appreciate that, because as soon as she gave it to me, I was out. Like, I didn't feel nothing. I fell asleep. I was coming back and forth too, and they were giving me like really, really cold blackberries for my throat or whatever, which helped so much. Good. The next day was post-op. They will text you and let you know what time your post-op appointment is or whatever. You're gonna be so drugged up and stuff that nothing's gonna matter that day, but the people that are taking care of you have to keep track of that, which the lady that worked there at the time, Lizzie, like, she was on it. And I remember, like, I was half asleep, but I could feel her getting my arm to check my vitals throughout the night and asking me if I need anything. The next day I woke up and the chuck pads were filled with like blood and fluid, and I smelled like raw chicken. So I'm like, can I please take a shower? And they were like, no, you have to go to your appointment. Like, you can't take a shower. They have to take you at your faja. So I get to my post-op appointment, right? Now, mind you, these recovery houses and stuff, like, they have all this information. They should be tracking these girls. So I get to my post-op appointment. The girl cut my post-op appointment kind of short because my faja was so soiled, she didn't want to touch me. I think she was new, because the way she reacted when I opened my gown, she was like, oh God, no. Like, she's like, you were supposed to shower. And I'm like, they told me not to shower. They told me you're supposed to take me out my file. So the lady was like, no. She started pulling out the pads. They had these huge pads on my back and all that stuff. They started pulling all that out and was putting it in the trash can. It was so filled that it sounded like something heavy was just hitting the trash. It was crazy. She closed me back up. I go downstairs and I called for my recovery house, like, to come get me. So they were like, somebody was around the corner. I'm waiting. Next thing I know, like, it's been an hour. I've been texting my surgery sister, who's still at the recovery house, and she's crying and like, nobody's there to get you yet. Like, oh my God. Mind you guys, I'm still leaking. This is the next day after surgery. That Miami heat alone will make you sick, and you're already like feeling nauseous. You're already like you're not feeling your best. So I'm like outside for an hour, standing in front of 305 plastic surgery, and I'm leaking lipo fluid all over the ground. It was disgusting. A lady saw me and was like, you've been here for a minute. Like, if you were my child, I would curse them out. So the lady ended up pulling up, the owner ended up pulling up in her personal vehicle, and I'm like, she didn't get out or anything. I just opened the door. She was like, hop in. So I opened the door. I'm like, I'm going to leak all over your car. Like, I don't want to leak all over your car. So she pulls these jeans out. She takes this plastic off these jeans and she puts it on the seat. So I'm like leaning on that and holding on to the headrest of the seat. not the most comfortable position when you just gotten out of surgery. So whatever. After Lizzie did quit, because I did mention that Lizzie quit, it kind of went like further downhill from there, because we didn't have any nurses like that was trained on how to take care of us. Like I remember even being by myself for like 2 hours. We were by ourselves for like 2 hours, like nobody there to take care of us. Like we were just taking care of each other. But luckily, when this stuff kicked off, like when Lizzie quit because of some issues that they had within that home, we were kind of better. Like me and my surgery sisters, like you kind of create this bond when you're in these recovery houses, because you're seeing each other at your like weakest moments. So we just took care of each other. And like, you know, they prepped our food and stuff, but we made sure that each other was good. We made sure that we were taking like our medication and all that stuff. Come day 4, I believe day 4 is when I actually left to go home, and they didn't get us to the airport. We ended up just wanting to leave on our own and go like get fajas and stuff, and go to the airport. No help with bags out to the car. Mind you, this stuff was heavy that we had a lot of stuff with us. So when we got to the airport, we did do the wheelchair service. I believe my flight was with Delta. Don't quote me on that. But I did first class, and it was so packed that there was no room for me to like get like a row by myself. So I had to use my BBL pillow, and I had 2 flights. Both were 2 hours long. I don't know why or how this happened. And my layover was 30 minutes. So I'm not gonna lie, I was so uncomfortable that I ended up just sitting down. And that was even uncomfortable, but it didn't ruin my results. I ended up sitting down, and I was just like, okay, I'm over it. So landed, pretty much my mom picked me up, and she got me to the house, and that was pretty much it. So at this point, I'm like 5 months post-op now. I say the most uncomfortable time frame was the 6 weeks. The first 6 weeks is horrible. But once you get home and you're like away from Miami or whatever, and you're back into your own space, I do feel like recovery is easier because you're around your family and friends, and you can handle stuff the way you want to. The recovery house was a lot of drama, not as far as the girls that were there. The girls that were there were so sweet. We are all cool. Most of us still talk on social media, but as far as like the owner, it was messy. It was messy, and it was unprofessional, and I don't feel that they had like a well thought out process, if that makes sense. Like you know, some of the staff there was really sweet, but I don't know. Would I ever stay there again? No. Would I ever recommend staying there again? No. And then when I also did a review after the fact, it was like trying to like discredit what I had said that I went through, as far as like being outside for an hour and being like the last girl to leave the surgery center because I was waiting for 30 minutes for them to come pick me up. Hiring staff that did not have any experience with women that have BBLs. They had no idea what to do with us. No idea. And the last lady that was hired, she didn't know anything. Like, she didn't know how to work the washing machine. It was bad. She didn't know how to work the washing machine. She just knew how to cook for us and just kind of like babysit us. That was pretty much it. So the house wasn't getting clean. The bathroom over time had like blood, lipo fluid, which is kind of like mixed with your blood, like on the floor. It was on the walls. I'm like, because girls are constantly going in there taking showers, like you're taking these fajas off, and you know, somebody comes to get it and washes it for you. So yeah, it was a mess. So that's why me and my surgery sister was like, on day 4, our flight was like a little bit later in the day. We were like, let's just go. Dr. William, he did get my body right. I really enjoyed my experience there. And with the recovery house, I wouldn't recommend staying with the House of Glam or my Little Concierge or whatever. It was a horrible experience, and no apology from the owner. It was just pretty much, we're liars and all of that stuff. But you know, it is what it is. I say choose your recovery house very, very, very wisely. And yeah, that was pretty much part 2. Hope you guys stay tuned for the rest of the videos I'm going to be making. It's going to have a lot of good tips for you guys for after surgery care. And then probably other stuff too. You guys let me know like what type of stuff you want to see, what you want to hear about. If you want to know anything about my experience with Dr. William that I did not mention, I am always willing to share. So thanks guys.